The Letter, an interactive horror visual novel that was developed and published by yangyangmobile in 2017, offers you a rare opportunity to take a trip down nostalgia lane. Step into my time machine and let me take you to a bygone era when your AOL inbox was flooded with chain letters promising to wrest you of your firstborn unless you sent 30 virtual sheep to a down-on-his-luck duke from Moldova. An age where mailer daemon stood ever vigilant between you and absolute financial fuck-uppery. Now rewind the VHS of time even further to when these chain letters were written by hand, in blood. That's right, kids, load up the station wagon because we're going to Ermengarde Mansion. Nestled in the hamlet of Ansem Village, a place truly frozen in time, Ermengarde Mansion is a storied structure that is the subject of much gossip and folklore among both the inhabitants of the hamlet as well as the citizens of the neighboring city of Luxburn, where 5 of the 7 playable characters reside. In one of the most efficient writerly moves I've ever witnessed, you are introduced to the locus of the thrilling horror, Ermengarde Mansion, by way of Isabella Santos, who works for a realty group overseeing the sale of the property. In fact, it is at an open house that everything precipitously goes to shit, when Isabella hears some things, sees some things, and then ultimately peeps that crusty old piece of paper that turns out to be a chain letter. The chain letter then serves as a catalyst for the all-enveloping horror that grabs hold of all 7 characters and refuses to let go till the bloody, gruesome end. And this brings me to my first and only complaint. Chain letters. I just don't like them. I don't find them compelling as a device, never have, never will. This is not a challenge, just don't do it. As I'm ranting, I realize this is not an objective, defensible position. I just don't like them, and I could have done without it. Chain letters are unnecessary and just make horror stories seem puerile and or corny. End of story. With that out of the way, let's talk about what worked for me and settle in because a lot worked really well for me here. First, the story is enthralling. You play as 7 different characters and see the events unfold from each of their perspectives as you slowly piece together just what is haunting Ermengarde Mansion, as well as how each of the characters becomes inextricably tied to the horrors from centuries past. And I must say, while the characters get wrapped up in the mansion's specific shenanigans, the fact that each character is also haunted by his or her own past just makes this whole story that much more compelling. What a genuinely expert writerly move. You can make the spookiest game in all the Wild Wild West, but if your characters aren't pulling their own weight a little bit, the story can fall flat. For any horror story to be successful, we need characters that have actual stake in the game that is personal to their own fleshed out lives, and yangyangmobile knew this and delivered. Closely related to the story, the letter offers a branching narrative where choices matter, and boy oh boy do they actually, if my death count serves as any indication. The next one seems like a no-brainer. The writing. It's a visual novel, an incredibly text-heavy one at that. The quality of the writing can literally make or break a game in this genre, and boy did the team deliver. I play a lot of questionable games in this genre with meh writing. Given that, I honestly didn't have the highest of expectations, but I was absolutely blown away. The team gives us beautiful renderings of the psychological states of the characters and such vivid, concrete descriptions of pretty abstract things like jealousy and terror. I can't stress this enough. That is really difficult to do, and every time the team stepped up to the plate, they knocked it out of the park. I honestly could not point to a single weak moment in the writing. Having just said that, it pains me to say that the grammatical errors were just frequent enough to distract me from the beautiful writing going on here. I hate carping on grammar. My honest opinion is that if the writing is good, who cares about all that shit? And the devs' literary prowess affirmed my belief in that. However, the verb tense issues and preposition errors proved to be formidable obstacles during my playthrough of the game on my channel. But honestly, I'll take stellar writing riddled with grammatical errors over flawlessly mechanical, boring writing any day of the week. Another strong point in favor of this game is that the lines of dialogue are fully voice acted, which proved to be such a blessing because, and I can't say this enough, there is a lot of text. It was such a welcome reprieve to be able to sit back and let the characters speak for themselves, while I just had to read the general narration as well as the character-specific narration depending on from whose perspective I was seeing the story. Related to the full voice acting, the character portraits that pop up next to the text boxes are well drawn and show a range of emotion. This small yet significant detail allowed for greater immersion as I had yet another detail to properly interpret how a line was delivered and what was meant to be conveyed. And when various characters are conversing with one another, the character models are actually animated. I am so used to visual novels with static images and a few versions of the characters that cycle back and forth depending on the emotional state of the character. This was not so in the letter, and what a refreshing feature that sure as shit must have taken a lot of painstaking effort. And that's probably the common thread woven throughout the entire project. Painstaking effort. This was obviously a labor of love, and it paid off immensely. From the beautifully designed scenes, to the expressive character models, to the illustrations of really impactful moments in the narrative, my god, everything was such a joy to look at. And don't get me started on the music. The soundtrack especially excelled at making me spook my pants. Coupled with some pretty creepy illustrations and some bone-chilling voice acting, I don't think I have a clean pair of trousers left. yangyangmobile, I'll be sending you my dry cleaning bill.